But our Jennifer Griffin was told that its impact could be worse.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Democrats have chosen Chicago as the host city for the 2024 convention as the party hopes to hold on to the Senate and White House and regain a House majority. It will take place at the United Center in August. Republicans also head to the Midwest for their convention slated for Milwaukee in July of next year. America's listening to Fox News.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Near perfect weather continues on this April afternoon. Lots of sunshine, 78 for the high today. Tonight, clear and mild, 52. Wednesday, sunny, 78. Thursday, sunshine, 79, 80 for the high Thursday afternoon. And Friday, partly sunny and 75. A big old blocking high-pressure system right over the middle of the country. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If you own a home in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes, stlouis.com at 314-782-8000 and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant homes, inherited homes, fixer-uppers, beautiful homes, even the tenant who won't pay the rent apartment. Google us. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out our best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move according to your schedule and your terms. Go to our website, chrisbuyshomes.stlouis.com, or call Chris at 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000, and get the offer you've been waiting for. 314-782-8000.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Play ball. Step up to the plate by donating your old car to Goodwill and get 4 box seats to a Cardinal game. Your car donation to Goodwill will help people right here in St. Louis. Donating is easy, towing is free, and you get a tax receipt. Plus, you'll get Redbird tickets, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. You can put the car in Cardinal by donating to Goodwill today. Donate online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention promo code Cardinals. Hurry while supplies last.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Friends of Fisher House St. Louis has served thousands of military and veterans family members in our community by ensuring they can be with their loved ones receiving medical care. They know that a family's love is good medicine. Visit 971talk.com/care to learn more.
That
is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Annie Frey, and I'm back from vacation. I'm so happy to be here. I hope that you have had a wonderful spring break for any of you who took it off like I did to mirror your kids' vacations, or I'm looking at you retired people who are just off all the time. Very envious of you. I spend a week off, and I think, oh, this is how those people live. That's wonderful. Brad, have you ever, well, you've worked a wide assortment of jobs.
Yeah.
So maybe you've never really been a 9-to-5er.
No.
When it is the weirdest thing for me to have been a 9-to-5er, and then this job requires a little different kind of set of hours or whatever. But when I go driving downtown at like 11:15 in the morning, I'm like, look at all these people out here doing things at 11:15. My mind is blown. It's like there's a reality that exists out there that I get to peek behind when I'm on vacation. But I'm back. I'm back here in the studio, and I'm very grateful to be here. Now, the Annie Frey YouTube poll today, we're going to do something, and we're talking about potentially trying to do this a little bit more. I did a lot of show thinking over my 11 days off, so I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, got to try to sort them out with the crew. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to react to our YouTube poll, and I want you to be able to give us the feedback on a question like this. This is today's poll. And if you're interested in voting on the poll, or if you've heard us talking about it before and you don't understand, where's this poll? How do I find said poll? A lot of you people are like, nobody ever calls me and asks me what I think. Well, I'm asking you what you think, so give me your feedback. I want to hear it. If you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, we broadcast live there every day, and you can vote in the poll, which is located in the live chat. You got to click on the live chat portion of today's video. Is America in crisis? Yes or no? That's today's question. I want to know what you think about the state of this country, because, good grief, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the last week when I was off. I'm getting news alerts on my phone. President Trump is indicted, and, there's all the fallout from that. There are more shootings taking place. Politics continues to careen into the abyss, and I was going about my day, just driving around at 11:15 in the afternoon, going to get a casual late morning coffee. This is the type of things that you people do that I'm envious of. Your freedom to be able to move about the community at any given time if you're not somebody who is a working person anymore. While I'm doing that, and I've got kids in tow in the minivan, the Chrysler Pacifica is driving around getting things done. I've got anywhere between 1 and 4 kids in the car. I had to think about how many kids I had. 4 kids. I got 4. And yeah, everything's coming back into focus right now. And it's just a different existence when you've got kids in the ear, and you've got errands to do, and you've got things that are of a different priority than maybe if you're a talk show host that does news and culture and politics for 3 hours a day. You remove that from the routine, and then all of a sudden you just start to see things differently, because some things don't cut through. Some things don't make it and penetrate the noise coming from the back seat or from the other room. Did you see the video that I sent of Molly with her hand?
Molly and I are spirit animals.
Oh my gosh.
That's me.
I'm sitting in our living room doing laundry, and Molly is sitting in. I have this 2 foot by 3 foot frame, and this is what I was doing on my break. I had this frame to put a picture in, but I didn't have a picture to put it in it. And I've had this frame for, I'm not even joking, years. in my house.
I am the exact opposite because I have all these pictures.
No frames.
No frames.
I don't even remember the intention of buying that in the first place, but I bought it, and I have a frame in my house. It has no photo in it. It's still wrapped in plastic. And my not quite 2-year-old Molly puts her full hand on the top of this gigantic picture frame and starts to pull it down. And it's just like, and she goes from top all the way to bottom in slow motion. And then she just peeks over her shoulder like, anybody gonna stop me? And it was really funny. And so she just kept doing it. I videoed it. It's up on the YouTube channel. But when that stuff is going on in your presence, or in my presence, and I'm at home and I got kids asking me about lunch and I'm trying to get stuff done, or we're on spring break and we're just trying to have a good time, I'm not sitting there going, oh my gosh, I got to know everything about this indictment. I got to know everything about Alvin Bragg and why did he make these charges and what is a mystery felony? What the heck is a mystery felony? Come on. So what ends up happening is I, in my mind, go, I pretty much probably understand what's going on here. I apply the context of years of experience of understanding who Donald Trump is, understanding how these activist DAs in places like Manhattan are, and I put all the information together and I come to a conclusion that's mostly based on facts that aren't about the specific case, but about the broader sense of things. And then I move on to the next chore on my list or the next Fortnite game with my kids or whatever it might be. This is how most people live. This is how most people move through day to day. They are trying to get up in the morning, get some things done so that when they go to bed, they feel like they did something that day. They took care of the people who count on them. They go to work. They take care of the things and responsibilities in their lives, and then they go to bed and they do it again the next day. The minutia and the importance of something like an indictment on President Trump, on something like a mayor race in Chicago, on something like the details and the connections that can be made from shooting to shooting to shooting to shooting. Man, that stuff is heavy. It's burdensome to stick your head, just like bobbing for apples, deep into the water so you can catch it, so you can get it, so you can understand what's going on. It's very easy to go, I'm not doing that today. I got to go to Target. I got to go to Walmart. I got to go to Aldi. I got to go to Ruler Foods. I got to go to do all of these different things and get the stuff done for my family. I don't even want to know about all of that stuff. I think that that's the way the majority of people consume daily. The news, the developments, the facts, the lack of facts that go into these various stories. I don't know how many of those folks bebopping around at 11:15 or 12:15 on a Tuesday afternoon know that the Annie Frey Show exists or know that 97.1 exists. Hopefully a lot of them do. Hopefully if you're a loyal listener to this station, maybe you'll share our station with those people so they can have it on in their car while they're driving around. Check out this show from noon to 3. One of the main reasons why, and I just said I've done an enormous amount of reflection on this show over the last 11 days. One of the main reasons why we try to insert levity into what we do here is because if we go wall to wall with the burdensome baggage that exists in this news cycle, people turn it off. And if people are turning it off, then they're not informing themselves because the weight is too much to bear. You have your own responsibilities. You have your own obligations. And those types of scenarios are the things that will potentially pull people back in to the news cycle. Why is gas $3.59 a gallon? $3.79 a gallon. Just off 270 in Illinois, I noticed. That's what makes people go, wait, what? Why is this like this? This hasn't always been like this. Why is this like this right now? Because that too is unsustainable. There is a cycle there. When I ask you the question, is America in crisis? And I know what I know from being a total nerd about all of this news and politics stuff. Like, even on my spring break, I'm peeking around the corner just to see what the crazy people are doing again. Yeah, the crazy people who are normally like me when I'm not on vacation. I'm talking about me. And I'm trying to find out the details. And I'm maybe having a conversation here, there, and everywhere that I go. And generally speaking, people bring up politics. And I see the weight that people are carrying, and they're looking for a place to put the weight of what is happening to Donald Trump in this country right now. The pursuit of a man where they will throw anything at Donald Trump because they do not want him to politically succeed. They require his political failure so that they can politically succeed. And I'm not just talking about Democrats. It is the most complicated, intricate political situation. Because Donald Trump, as the president of the United States, did so much good for this country. He cut through the muck and he worked for the American people and he listened to the American people and he reacted and he led on behalf of the American people. And he was successful in doing it in a way that blows the minds of the people on the left who are used to beating Republicans the same way every single time. Build them up, put them on top of that pedestal and wait for them to fall off and crash and burn. Donald Trump's like, yeah, I'm not going to get up on that pedestal. I don't really need to. And he didn't. And they didn't know how to beat him. So now they're trying to beat him in every other way possible. Impeach, indict, a character assassination of sorts on a daily basis. This is where this, as I said, is one of the most intricately, politically tenuous tensions that you can muster. Donald Trump, as a Republican, is not perfect. And it's okay to say that because I'm looking around the room, I'm looking around the state, I'm looking around the country for a perfect Republican, and there are none to be found. So saying Donald Trump isn't perfect, if that makes you recoil like, oh, Annie, how can you say that? Think about that for a second. He has flaws. Donald Trump has flaws. His flaws have gotten him into some of the trouble he's in right now because he's made it easier for the people on the left who want to crucify this man. Not because they disagree with any of the morally questionable things that in Donald Trump's past, which, by the way, when he was a Democrat, they celebrated and rapped about and sang about and wanted pictures with, that he was their guy when he was leading this morally questionable life. And now that he's a Republican, the unforgivable sin. Donald Trump is not perfect. And if Republicans who are MAGA diehard through and through don't get around to saying that, they are not going to persuade anybody else to come into their tent and support Donald Trump in the general. Because if Donald Trump can't win the general, he shouldn't be in the primary. How is he going to take all of this persecution? It is persecution. It is political persecution. And when you own the political office of the DA in Manhattan or the circuit attorney in St. Louis, or go around the entire country and you know, flush all this out, and you'll see the consistencies that exist. Politically rooted people in the justice system who are in a position to attack political enemies. If I hear one more time about how flimsy this case is against Donald Trump, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to vomit. It's not about that. Donald Trump is not going to get a fair trial in Manhattan. Donald Trump is not going to get justice in this climate. That's why they are doing it there. Because they know that it's Bush League. They know that what they're doing is completely flimsy. They don't care. They're not doing this because they actually think he's a criminal. Who did Donald Trump hurt in the crime, including the mystery crime, which we'll find out behind door number 5 at another time? Who did Donald Trump hurt? Who's the victim in the crime that Donald Trump committed? I'm waiting to see. I know that he's hurt a lot of Democrats because they cry about it every day. I don't want to hear about the flimsiness of this case because it's not an even playing field. This is not a balanced, fair fight. So my question is to Donald Trump, once again, we are going to have to ask you to rise above the entirely unfair persecution of a man whose crime was becoming a successful Republican. We are going to have to ask him yet again to rise above what is being done to him so that he can lead this country out of this time. Because the question is America in crisis? Yes or no? And your feedback is going to help us sum this up at the end of the show at 2:45. If America is in crisis, we as voters, not Republicans, not Democrats, we as voters, we as consumers, we as taxpayers, we as mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, we have to decide what is at stake and how do we ensure that for the generations to come in this country, we put this thing back on the correct track. We have to identify exactly what the issue is so that we can find the best solution. I look at what's going on right now, especially sitting at my home, just dipping in every once in a while. I look at what's going on in this country right now, and I keep asking myself, if I were 20 years, 30 years, 60 years older, would I be looking at this time and going, oh, this is just like 1973, and being able to draw the same types of conclusions about what happened then to what happened now, or is this worse? I only know the existence that I've lived and the history that I've learned, but those are different ways of understanding things. You tell me, is America in crisis? Go vote on the YouTube poll. Leave a comment. Hannah will feature those at the end of the show, but we're going to do something special today at 12:45. We're going to take your phone calls on this question. And we're going to speed through as many of them as we can possibly get at 12:45, where you can call in and tell me, do you believe that America is in crisis? Yes or no, and you tell me why or why not. And we'll get your feedback right here on the Annie Frey Show. When we come back, Giano Caldwell joins the show. I'm very excited to have him on the show. I think it's for the first time. Fox News political analyst, and he's a Chicago boy. His brother was shot and killed in Chicago. And while I was gone, oh my gosh, Brandon Johnson wins the mayoral race in Chicago. And I just got to say, folks, hold on tight. Do you have any questions in your mind why the Democrats decided to have their convention in Chicago? I don't. Let's talk to Giano Caldwell about that when we come back.
I got a woman with eyes that shine down deep as a diamond mine. She's my treasure so very rare. She made me a millionaire.
Let's talk about air comfort service. Oh my gosh, why are we inside today? It was a rough day to have to come back to work because it is stunningly beautiful outside. And we've had to kick in our air conditioner at night and make sure it's cool enough because it keeps the baby asleep. You got to make sure that everything is functioning correctly because energy prices are way too high right now to be running your air conditioner when it's not working at maximum efficiency. With temperatures starting to go up, it's not going to be very long until your air conditioner is going to be working all day long. Did you know that your furnace works with your air conditioner to cool your home? That's why you need to have your entire HVAC system checked. Air Comfort Service is there to do that. They have maintenance plans that start at $15 a month. If you pay monthly, you get your 12-month free. That way you can make sure that your HVAC system is in perfect working order, that you're not paying it to run more than it should, and that it is keeping you comfortably in your comfort zone throughout the day. Reach out to Air Comfort Service and tell them Annie sent you at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. And you can visit them online at aircomfortservice.com.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Did you know St. Louis leads the nation in rounding up at our local McDonald's restaurants? That small change can make a big difference by supporting the building of a new local Ronald McDonald House. Please learn more at rmhcstl.com.
In 2023, Major League Baseball is getting some fan-powered updates. You spoke, MLB listened. And this season, you'll be getting a faster pace of play with the pitch timer, more balls in play from shift restrictions, and more action on the base paths from some of your favorite athletes due to bigger bases. Tried and tested in the minors, these new rules are bringing extra excitement to the game you love.
Unbelievable!
Learn more at MLB.com/rules.
Are you thankful for the first responders in your community? Then nominate a local department and let us feed them a great meal. Compliments of Grill Master Tony Stone. Mark Cox here. Visit 971talk.com/contests and nominate someone today.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Mississippi, in the middle of a dry spell. Jimmy Rogers on the Victrola up high. Mama's dancing, his baby on her shoulder. The sun is setting like molasses in the sky. The boy could sing, knew how to move. Everything, always wanting more. He leave you longing for.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're working to get connected with Giano Caldwell. Excited to talk to him about what is taking place in Chicago. He is from there, and he's got a book called The Sworn. No, let's see. His book is called Taken for Granted. That was his podcast, Out Loud with Giano Caldwell, the sworn enemy of PC culture. Taken for Granted. And he's got this book about how conservatism can win back the Americans that liberalism failed. Brad, I was thinking, I said to you a couple times over break, I was like, I'm not paying attention to anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, would you like to have such and such? I'm like, why would I have them on? What's the topic? And you're like, the Pentagon leaks. I'm like, what did the Pentagon leak? I wasn't paying attention. But I have to do that. And for me I don't take very many long weekends unless it's if I do, it's not for me ever. It's always because the kids have a tournament or something like that. I do not get to relax on a long weekend because I can't unplug.
Right.
There's not enough time to go, I'm not paying attention to anything. And then to have to come back on Monday, I've got to pay attention.
Right.
If I'm gone for a week, I cannot pay attention. It's glorious. All of the PC stuff that's out there right now. And I'm going to talk about this. I don't know. I'm going to do this right now. Last night, Tyrus was on Gutfeld, of course. And the one thing that I think I paid even more attention to just casually over my break, because I don't necessarily like to give a lot of my attention to these things when I'm looking at and reading for work, is a lot of the very, very ever-present transgender stuff that is out there right now. Let me be the first to say that if there is an individual who is born a male and lives as a female, I don't need to know about that. I don't need to be involved in that. I don't need to dive into that. Tyrus's comments last night about this issue were so spot on and so right on the money that I cannot wait to play them for you at 1:25 today. You are going to want to hear what Tyrus said, and when he's on with us on Thursday on his weekly hit with us, we will ask him about this because what he said was right on the money. We said we were going to talk to Giano Caldwell, and I'm excited to get him on the show. Before we do that, let's play this clip from MSNBC here.
NBC News projects Brandon Johnson will be Chicago's next mayor. Brandon Johnson, who is a former public school teacher in Chicago, currently Cook County Board Commissioner. He's a former teachers union organizer. He was endorsed by Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Bernie Sanders, and the Chicago Teachers Union. He is opposition candidate Paul Vallas, also running as a Democrat. Both of these candidates running as Democrats. Paul Vallas was endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. Also, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat, endorsed Paul Vallas. And so this was perceived as the more liberal Democrat Brandon Johnson running in that race, and a clear win there. We did not really expect to be able to have a call on this at this hour, but there it is. Brandon Johnson, next mayor of Chicago.
Now, you know that as a resident myself of Illinois, Southern Illinois, across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, that I've been very keyed in on what's going on in state politics in Illinois. Chicago mayor, a little bit separate from us down here in Southern Illinois, but does it bleed into the state politics throughout the rest of the state? You bet it does. And today we find out that the Democrats are putting their convention right there in Chicago. And you got to ask yourself, why might that be the case? Giano Caldwell joins us right now, Fox News political analyst. He's the host of a podcast called Out Loud with Giano Caldwell, the sworn enemy of PC culture. And his book is Taken for Granted. Giano, thank you for the time today. Grateful to have you here on the Annie Frey Show.
Thank you for having me.
I want to give you the opportunity to connect us to your connection with Chicago, because, you know, this has been national news. You've talked about your brother, and my heart goes out to you and your story. But I'm really grateful that you're using a tragedy to try to get your voice out there on what actually takes place on a daily basis in that city.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the platform and opportunity. On June 24th last year, my baby brother Christian was murdered on the south side of Chicago. And since then, it's become a mission of mine to raise awareness as to the violence that is not only occurring in Chicago on the south side, specifically on any parts of Chicago, but across the country, where countless individuals who are innocent are being murdered, in part due to the soft on crime policies that are being pushed by progressive district attorneys across the country. Those who seemingly don't give a damn about innocent life. It seems as though a lot of these folks, you think about Alvin Bragg, you think about Kim Foxx, you think about the Los Angeles district attorney, it seems as though these criminal justice provisions in which they've laid out, a lot of bail reform policies, have been justice for the criminal, certainly not for the victims. So while I have the platform that I do in the number one cable network in the country, I will absolutely use it to the best of my ability to raise the alarm that things need to change. Now, speaking of the election that just took place, how terrible of a result we saw in the city of Chicago with the election of Brandon Johnson. Paul Vallis, another Democrat, somebody who, normally I wouldn't even necessarily weigh in on something like this. Democrat, I'm a conservative. But Paul Vallis was the more reasonable candidate, someone who believed in supporting the police, who was endorsed by the police, who had a plan of action to go around Kim Foxx, who believed in fiscal responsibility and charter schools. So it was enough for me to weigh in, especially when you got a guy who supported defunding the police, who's defended rioters and looters, who seemingly doesn't believe in the rule of law, who said that Kim Foxx operated with enormous integrity, which I think anyone who knows about the Jussie Smollett hoax, she has not.
Yeah.
Not only that, she's dropped 25,000 felony cases, including rape and murder. And that's more than 25,000 felony cases, including rape and murder. So with that consideration in mind, I don't know what Chicago was thinking. It was a small margin he won by. I get that. But this should have been just a no-brainer for people. Of course you support Paul Vallis when crime in the city of Chicago is the number one issue among Chicagoans for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah.
This isn't an isolated issue to particular parts of town like it used to be. South and west sides of Chicago, where mostly black and minority groups live, this is everywhere. People are going downtown Chicago and being shot, robbed, murdered. This is not okay. Even the CEO of CME Group, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, his wife was robbed. It was an armed robbery. You think about Citadel, Ken Griffin, the billionaire Ken Griffin, who used to have his business out of Chicago. He decided to pack up and leave. And now that they're saying, hey, we're going to have the DNC convention in Chicago, that is another shock, to be honest, because it's not a safe city to have such a major convention there. So
right.
This is just really interesting and mind-blowing news.
I think when I was looking at the results coming in for the mayoral race in Chicago, we're speaking with Giano Caldwell right now, I was my jaw was dropped. I'm like, they're really going to do this. This is really going to happen. You said, I'll see your mayor, Lori Lightfoot, and raise you a Brandon Johnson. You think that it's unbelievable.
Literally.
Yeah. And, the left is cheering this. You get a spring election is then attached to, any big up-ticket elections. It does become a turnout-based election, and maybe that side has been more motivated. There still wasn't a huge turnout for the election in total, but I'm wondering on a larger scale for the November 2024 election. Giano, do you believe that minds can actually be persuaded and changed in the time between now and that November 24 election? Or are we living in the time now where it's just turnout? How mad is one side over the other that they show up and vote?
I think the numbers suggest that it's too early to tell. There's a lot that's going on that are a bunch of distractions. The Alvin Bragg prosecution of Donald Trump is clearly another distraction. It was clearly political in nature. There's a lot of other things that are happening in our country that the media will eat up immediately, and versus us talking about Hunter Biden and his dad potentially enriching themselves illegally and using his office, we're talking about Trump being prosecuted for something that even the Biden DOJ didn't want to touch. Like it just, you got to wonder all the distractions that are coming up is like, oh, we're about to really go after Joe Biden. Wait, look over here. It's like a dog like throwing a red ball and a dog running after it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've come to. And it's really not the country in which I grew up in. Things have become so politicized. The media, even though black folks, let me be very clear and honest here, black folks have had issues with the media and the DOJ before because of some of the referencing and framing in which some of these stories around black people. But now it's become to the point that you can't even trust the media. You can't trust the press. You can't trust them to be honest. You can't trust them to be non-political when it comes to stories. And the fact that you can't have an objective press, one who will follow a story no matter where it leads. You got editors and newsrooms in places like the New York Times who are choosing to print things on their pages based on how a liberal left-leaning base will view it.
Right.
this is not the America in which I think a lot of us grew up in, and it's not one in which I'm willing to capitulate to.
Well, you wrote a book, Giano, excuse me, and I want to talk about this a little bit, give you an opportunity to discuss why you would write a book called Taken for Granted, and then the subtitle being How Conservatism Can Win Back the Americans That Liberalism Failed. That suggests to me that maybe you think that maybe there are minds that can be persuaded. I feel like the old ways of whatever the Republican Party has been doing before, Republicans in my mind spend so much time defending against what they've been accused of being instead of saying, no, this is why this is good. This is why conservatism can actually solve the problem that we all identify that exists. And you've literally written the book on it. How do you feel like there are voters out there, there are people who might have been disenfranchised previously by the Republican Party? How can they be won back?
You know what? It wasn't even about, and I'm sorry for the horn that you hear in the background, it wasn't even about conservatives necessarily winning anyone back, taking for granted how conservatism can win back the Americans that liberalism failed. It was a winning of back of principles, is a winning of back of the black vote, which was one that was open at one particular time. You talk about in the 60s, the 40s, the 50s, where there was an openness to being a conservative. When you talk about those who came into Congress, the first folks, African Americans, they came into Congress were black conservatives, in addition to these other groups of folks who've been taken for granted. The farmers have been taken for granted. The white working class have been taken for granted by the Democratic Party. There's so many factions that have been taken for granted in favor of the elites that run our country. You think about the hedge fund managers, those guys on Wall Street. Those guys are who the Democratic Party are a virtual signaling to. Mm-hmm. They'll never change the laws in that particular area because this is their major donor base. The Democratic Party have thrown many of us away and said we're not worthy of pursuing. Therefore, Republicans is important and imperative to step up for these constituencies, let your voice be known. And as you mentioned earlier, Republicans are oftentimes looking to defend themselves against accusations, a lot of racism accusations that are pushed to them in the playbook from the Democratic Party, which has largely been, oh, we don't like you, we think you can win, we're going to call you a racist. And what have Republicans historically done? They've backpedaled and stopped talking about the issue, everyone but Donald Trump, that is.
Right.
So I think there's a major opportunity for the Republican Party, but we got to get real tough. And a lot of the stuff I'm seeing out here does not necessarily demonstrate that. I think people like Ron DeSantis perhaps does. I'm now in Florida, and he's been very strong. But there's been a lot of other folks who've been very weak, and we don't necessarily see that with Democrats. They'll go out, they fight dirty, not advocating that we should do the same, but they'll fight dirty. They'll do whatever to win. And it's unfortunate that they're there, but folks need to be calling it out. I think a lot of us have built media organizations to call the stuff call out the things because mainstream media have not been covering what's truly going on. But there's so much more that needs to be done, and we got to stop being scared. We got to go after the Democrats in the base in which they have historically had support.
That is so true. Giano, I'd love to continue this conversation with you again sometime because I know that you have a lot of ideas. I know, speaking of being in Florida, I saw the whole story. I think, were you in Miami, like just having coffee or something?
Yeah, I was in North Miami, and they kicked me out of a restaurant because they heard me talk about conservatism and my work at Fox News, and they just weren't having it. I talked about my book, Taken for Granted, How Conservatism Can Win Back the Americans That Liberalism Failed. And they literally told me that I had to leave. I wasn't welcome there. 10 minutes later, I put out a tweet on what happened. It went viral immediately. I think 2 or 3 million views on Twitter, and it made international news. But folks need to know, especially those that are listening. And if you have a story where you've been discriminated against as a conservative, reach out to me on social media at Giano Caldwell. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Gianno Caldwell, Caldwell. There is a target on the back of conservatives across the country now. We're seeing it left and right, and something needs to be done about it. So let's work together and expose these diabolical schemes that are being pushed, because things need to change.
I couldn't agree with you more. Giano, I'm so grateful every time I see you pop up on Fox News. I stop what I'm doing and I listen, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in these next 18 months or so, because your voice on these issues is so incredibly key. Thanks for being with us today, Giano. Grateful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll do it again. Giano Caldwell, at Giano Caldwell on Twitter. If you don't mind, go. It's the first time he's on the Annie Frey Show. We always like to give him a big Annie Frey Show welcome. And go on Twitter and tweet at him and tell him, loved hearing you on the Annie Frey Show. And we'll get him back, because he is a young black man who's traveling the country talking about how conservatism is a good thing. It's not about... It can't always be about like just punching down and pounding down the idea of how terrible liberalism is. What if we spent a little extra time talking about the good that conservatism does and spread a more positive message? Because this is all incredibly heavy. Like I said, it's burdensome to people. And we need to be people who can emanate the good things about conservatism and be approachable. And I think that is a very, very key part to what's going to take place in November of 2024. Quick break. When we come back, how about your phone calls? I want to know what your thoughts are on this question. You call in. I'm only going to have a small amount of time, so you're going to have to give me the answer to your question, get through it, and then I'll get to the next caller, but would love to have you on. You tell me, is America in crisis? Yes or no? Let me know why you think it is when we come back. This is the number to call, 314-241-9797. Call 314-241-9797 and let me know if you think America is in crisis. We'll take your phone calls on the Annie Frey Show when we come back.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
So let's talk about Thomas Helbing and how he can help you prepare for that retirement. You know, the one that lets you go shopping and do everything you want at 11:15 in the afternoon, or in the morning. I want you to understand how Thomas Helbing has helped person after person after person who listens to this show, listens to this station, prepare for retirement. If you are 59 and a half or older, he's got the keys that you need to know to make sure that your retirement is ready to go, that you can be a worry-free person moving from saving, sacrificing into, no, retirement is right around the corner. I'm prepared. I've worked hard. I've saved. And guess what? I'm ready to go. When you call them at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, you set up a no cost, it's free to you, no obligation retirement review, and you're also going to get a copy of the second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. You can book this appointment with confidence that you're going to get the information you need to make an educated decision on what to do with your retirement. Find them online right now at retirementkey.com.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Tuesday, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 314-530-7777.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-981-4455. That's 800-981-4455. 800-981-4455.
Champion Floor Company is known for their customer service. It's a big reason why they've been serving the community for 34 years. If you're looking to replace your flooring, schedule an appointment at championfloor.com. Champion Floor, delivering excellence every day.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is where real local and national accountability happens. This is 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Just got done having a great conversation with Giano Caldwell. Got connected with him a little late, so we ran a little long with that segment. I want to ask you this question right now, and I only have room for a few phone calls, so you can give us a call if you want to, 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. And here's the question I'm asking you. Is America in crisis? Yes or no? I want to know what you think, so give us a call, and you can react to us here live on the Annie Frey Show. Let's get to Michael. Michael, thanks for calling the show. I'll ask you that question. Do you believe America is in crisis?
I do. I really do think we're in a crisis.
And explain to me what the crisis is that you identify.
I think that we are becoming a country that's poised on hatred and divisiveness. I think that we are exhibiting a lack of integrity and morals that we really used to teach our children, what we wanted our kids to grow up to be. I think that the adults, they aren't exhibiting those things, and it's tearing away at the fabric of our society.
I think, Michael, listening to what you're saying, too, that there's no political solution for what you're talking about. That's cultural, right?
Yes. And actually, it really is, and I think that's really what we need to attack, because we have been so poised on Democrat and Republican for so many decades that we're losing sight that we are all Americans, and we're losing the identity of what a good American or a good person really is. You know, when we start to think it's okay for someone to call another person names, and it's okay and it's laughed at, that's childish behavior that was frowned upon when we were in school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how is it now the adults, the leaders, are in this position and we are championing them on? How is it that we feel like it's okay, regardless of what a person's political identity is? It doesn't matter. Like, a person can vote Democrat and still have racial biases. A person can vote Republican and still agree with the opposing view. But if we feel, and we're so pointed to say, well, if I vote this way, I can't be friends with this person, or I can't have a conversation with that person because of whatever a disagreement that we have on, we're losing as a country and as a people.
Yeah, Michael, this is a fantastic phone call, because I'm going to be honest, at the end of this conversation, I'm not really 100% if you vote red or blue, and I don't even want to know, because what you're saying is so key to changing the direction that this country is headed in, because we got to care about one another more than we care about the political scoreboard, and then the politics will follow the culture shift. I think you hit it right on the nail right on the head, Michael.
It's always good talking to you, Annie.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. We only got a minute left here, so maybe we'll open up the phones again a little bit later in the show. That was such a good phone call, Michael. Thank you for listening, and thanks for reaching out to us and sharing your thoughts on it. We're going to speak with Jim Carafano when we come back. I'm going to talk to him about, I think I had at least 2 people in the last 48 hours be like, I think we're going to war with China. And I'm like, what did I miss? What's different here? Are we? Jim Carafano is going to answer that question. I'm just literally going to ask him that. Are we about to go to war with China? And he's going to respond in a way that only Jim Carafano can, and we adore having him on this show. And your votes, your thoughts on that question that Michael just answered so well, is America in crisis, yes or no? A reminder, if something is in crisis, it can be fixed, but you might first have to identify that the crisis exists in order to make an effective change. Watch us on the YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com.
I want to talk to you about CAJonesInc.com. If you are looking to build a home, I have several folks in my life who are looking to come back to the Illinois area where I live. So I've got the alerts popping up on my phone, and there's a very limited amount of inventory still. I've talked to my friend Jen Teskey, and she said there's still a really incredibly small amount of inventory out there. A lot of people thinking about building. That's a huge decision to make. That's why you need to go to CAJonesInc.com, because they are the best when it comes to building homes on the Illinois side of the river. They have such a broad amount of area that they have built homes. They've grown and grown and grown. They have a lot of inventory of new builds that are available for purchase by going to CAJonesInc.com. So if you've been searching for a new house and you haven't found it, what about looking at new construction that's already done or your dream home? You can design your dream home right there on the website. It's fun even if you're not looking to build a home. I trust C.A. Jones. I recommend them to my family and my friends. Find them online at CAJonesInc.com.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman. They've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, and as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Investigating a leak, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. The Pentagon is working to find the source of leaked intelligence on U.S. support for Ukraine's military.
Fox News has agreed, along with other news organizations, not to publish the leaked, highly classified documents which were discovered last week. Details about the scope and scale of the leak remain sparse. So far, there are 53 documents that have been posted. The first images appeared on a gaming website called Discord. Right now, I'm told it does not look like a cyber hack. It looks like there was a human involved, suggesting a Snowden-like figure or mole rather than a signals intercept by the Russians, for instance.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. The Gang of Eight, a bipartisan group of House and Senate leaders and the top members of the intelligence committees, are now getting access to the classified documents discovered in the homes of President Biden, former President Trump, and former Vice President Mike Pence. The Justice Department had been blocking access to those records because of a special counsel investigation looking into the handling of presidential records at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, but Senate Intelligence Committee leaders have objected. A fifth victim from yesterday's shooting at a Louisville, Kentucky bank has died as new details emerge about the gunman. Interim Louisville Metro Police Chief Jackie Gwynn Villaroel says he bought the AR-15 rifle last Tuesday.
He purchased the weapon legally from one of the local dealerships here in Louisville.
4 people remain hospitalized, including a police officer who was shot in the head while confronting the gunman. Our Fox affiliate in the nation's capital is reporting several people were shot this afternoon near a funeral home in northeast Washington, D.C. The number of victims, the extent of possible injuries not yet known. Initial reports indicate the suspected shooter may have fled the area. America is listening to Fox News.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Near perfect weather continues on this April afternoon. Lots of sunshine, 78 for the high today. Tonight, clear and mild, 52. Wednesday, sunny, 78. Thursday, sunshine, 79, 80 for the high Thursday afternoon. And Friday, partly sunny and 75. A big old blocking high-pressure system right over the middle of the country. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
PreventSprainSocks.com. I adore these socks. I have multiple pairs of them right now. I put them on my children when they play sports. Their teammates have worn them as well. When you wear these socks, they give you the support around your ankle and your foot that you need. They're like compression socks. They are very, very protective of your ankles, and they give you that added support you need so that you can stay active. That's a really big deal. I'm talking about people who are, in the middle of their athletic careers, possibly when they're younger, maybe growing into college or whatever. You want to protect your ankles because you can't afford being on the sidelines for 6 to 8 weeks if you bust that rolled ankle. I did that in high school. I didn't let it heal the way I should have because I was stubborn. And I wanted to come back and play as soon as I could. And now I pay for it every day because my left ankle is busted. I put these Prevent Sprain socks on my ankles, and I can box, and I can run, and I can be active again. I can play with my kids. I can play basketball. I can play volleyball with confidence. If you play pickleball, if you're a walker, if you're a runner, if you are somebody who's on your feet most of the day, check out Prevent Sprain socks, and you'll understand immediately exactly what I'm talking about. I love this company, and I hope that you'll check them out for yourself. PreventSprainsocks.com.
For every season and every day, we've got you covered with Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather, and Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray on 97.1 FM Talk, your home for conservative talk.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The average family home takes on 40 pounds of dust per year. Dust and debris can worsen allergies, asthma, and cause discomfort in your home. Call Zero Res at 314-474-2020 and get $75 off any of their air duct cleaning packages. 314-474-2020. Zero Res.
Countdown to Earth Day. Just 11 days to go. When replacing light bulbs, opt for LED bulbs. They are the most energy efficient of any bulb and last for years. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Very glad to be back in the chair. 11 days off, and I'm back here, and I'm trying to get my hands wrapped around all of the crazy that's taking place in the world right now. And apparently that takes more time than about, I don't know, the last 14 hours of my life. I did not sleep much last night because I was trying to consume all of the things. Here is a question that I have been asked from people in my life multiple times in the last 48 hours. Are we going to war with China?
Jim Carafano,
These are dangerous times.
Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage.
And I said, I don't know. I know Jim Carafano, and if anybody knows the answer to this, it's Jim Carafano. Jim, are we on the precipice of World War III? Real questions I'm being asked in my real life.
Yeah, so here's how you would know. If you call me for an interview and I don't answer because I'm on my way to the bomb shelter, then you know.
Oh, well, you're here. Yay.
So the fact that I answered the phone ought to be some consolation.
Yeah, please, let's not be doing this interview when World War III is breaking out. That would be bad for business.
Look, you know this term strategic ambiguity, which the United States is we're not really declaring what we see the status of Taiwan and whether we defend Taiwan or not. The irony is there is no ambiguity. It's called strategic ambiguity. There's absolutely nothing ambiguous about it. It is very clear that both the Chinese and the Americans know exactly what they want. We both have vital interests in Taiwan. And the status quo, essentially just leaving things the way they are, actually satisfies both our vital interests. And that's why it's endured, kind of all these years. And the question you're asking, which is to the Chinese, is, okay, are you willing to push the envelope and violate the vital interests of the United States and clearly risk a war to try to gain something that you may not be able to get and put at risk the thing you own now, which you could well compromise? Are you willing to risk to do that? And while they look at Joe Biden and say, this is the weakest president we've ever seen in modern history, and how can we take advantage of this guy? They can also look at the numbers, and they can see that they can cross the sea, they can drop some bombs on Taiwan, they might be able to put some ground there, but they cannot control the sea between China and Taiwan if the United States contests that. Maybe they could in the future if we keep getting Joe Biden defense budgets into the decade, then maybe that'll be true a half a decade from now. But right now, they would be taking the kind of risk that Putin took in invading Ukraine, and look how that turned out for him.
So we're speaking with Jim Carafano right now, and I want to play for you a clip that's almost a year old from President Biden on Taiwan.
That's a commitment we made. We are not, look, here's the situation. We agree with a one China policy. We've signed on to it, and all the attendant agreements made from there. But the idea that it can be taken by force, just taken by force, is just not appropriate. It will dislocate the entire region and be another action similar to what happened in Ukraine. And so it's a burden that is even stronger.
So President Biden has said that we would be involved militarily if China invades Taiwan. You just said, Jim Carafano, that America does have interest over here. I don't think that a lot of Americans understand why Taiwan has the interest of America. And I would like to ask you if you could explain that to us.
And it's not just an interest. It's a vital interest. In other words, it's an interest that is so important. It's the kind of thing we would actually go to war over. And that doesn't mean we want to go the way to deter a war is to both demonstrate that we would fight over this, and two, that we have the capability to fight over this. I mean, nobody pays attention to what Joe Biden says. The Chinese don't care what we say; they care what we do, and so they look at the capability of our military, and that's what they base their decisions on. So people say, well, why do we care about Taiwan? Well, if you ever want a United States anything to go anywhere in Asia, ever, right? A ship, a pipeline, a tourist, it doesn't matter. You have to be able to cross the Pacific Ocean. And there's a line across the Pacific Ocean. It's called the First Island Chain. So if you think of islands in the Pacific as kind of permanent aircraft carriers, an aircraft carrier is important because wherever it is, anything that's in the range of its missiles and airplanes, it controls that surface, right? Well, an island is like an aircraft carrier because you put missiles and stuff on it, except it doesn't move, which is, doesn't move, right? But it's also permanent, right? So it's always there. So if you connect all the key islands in the First Island Chain, and you control them, and they all essentially become your permanent aircraft carriers, then nobody can get past that if you don't want them to. And so Taiwan is the key island in the First Island Chain. If the Chinese control Taiwan, the United States literally cannot cross the Pacific. I mean, we can cross, but then we hit a line and we can't go anywhere, and we just turn around and come back. So forget about alliances with South Korea and Japan. Forget about access to anything in the Pacific. That's gone. And nobody has tried to lock America out of going anywhere in the world it wanted to since 1941. And, it's interesting. If you get a history book and you read all the places the Japanese wanted to go in 1941, it's exactly the place the Chinese want to go today, and exactly for the same reason.
Jim, go ahead.
The Chinese didn't own Taiwan. The Japanese owned Taiwan because they were trying to capture the First Island Chain. And when the Japanese left in 1945, they didn't give Taiwan back to China, or they didn't give Taiwan to China. They said it's a trusteeship, but they didn't give it to anybody because the Japanese weren't stupid. They didn't want China to own the First Island Chain. They didn't trust them then. We certainly don't trust them now.
Jim Carafano speaking with us right now, Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage Foundation. I hear you making a distinction between the difference between our support that we've sent munitions or whatever it might be to Ukraine to defend against Russia versus American personal interests in our ability to do what we do to defend ourselves in Taiwan. To me, what I hear you saying is we would go further with Taiwan. Right.
And it works both ways. What's intolerable from the Chinese perspective? Well, what's intolerable from the Chinese perspective is if the United States put military bases on Taiwan, well, then we basically could project power into China from Taiwan, and the Chinese couldn't leave their own ports. So that's intolerable for them. That's why I do think if America actually put forces on Taiwan to defend Taiwan, that would probably be a red line for the Chinese. And the Chinese have never renounced their claim to Taiwan. So if China declared independence, that would be a red line. But absent that, the Chinese vital interest isn't threatened. And so honestly, the status quo doesn't really hurt them. It just doesn't give them massive advantages. You know, the last country that wanted to say, well, you have a vital interest and I have a vital interest, and I'm just going to secure my vital interest by violating yours. That's what Germany did in 1914. That's what Germany did in 1939. And look how, it started a war. And I believe if either side, this is the thing about the difference between vital interests and other kinds of interests. When you cross a vital interest, you are very, very likely to start a war because you're actually threatening the other guy. So look at Ukraine's a good example, right? Who owned Ukraine during the entire Cold War? The Soviet Union. Was America ever? No, right? So we could survive with Ukraine being controlled, but we don't like it. It's not a good idea, which is why we're supporting the Ukrainians. But it's not the end of the world as we know it. But losing Taiwan, I mean, in a Western perspective, that would be like losing Great Britain. Great Britain really, since 1941, has been our unsinkable aircraft carrier. As long as we could get to Britain, we could get access to the European mainland. And so the defense of Britain for the United States was always non-negotiable since the day we entered World War II.
Yeah. I mean, it's really geopolitically very interesting to hear that explanation, because I think a lot of people just hear, oh, we're pro-Taiwan, we're anti-Taiwan, whatever it might be, and then everybody goes to their political sides. But I appreciate so much the facts behind this.
I mean, think of it this way. So the United States, we're not the world's babysitter. We're not the world's policeman. We're not the world's anything. But we have to look after our interests. We have interests in Europe. We have interests in the Middle East. And we have interests in the Indo-Pacific. And important enough that we would fight to defend them. So what do all three of those places have in common? All three of those places have a place where the United States is always welcome. And as long as we can get there, we can go to protect our interests. In Europe, it's always been Great Britain. In the Middle East, it's always been Israel. First, we love Jewish people. Everybody loves Passover. But Israel is our anchor into the region. It's the country that we can always depend on. In the Indo-Pacific, it's Japan. And here's the thing. If you lose Taiwan, you lose Japan.
Man, the domino effect is significant. You were talking about American interests in all of these different places. And when I think about American interests, that makes me like, I can look out my window and I'm sitting in St. Louis. I see people outside. There are probably a lot of Democrats out here, a few Republicans, but right. American interests should benefit everybody who I see here in the United States of America. Does this administration and the people who are protecting our country right now, do their interests intersect completely with American interests right now?
Of course not. I mean, energy is the penultimate example of that. America should have energy security. We should be confident in our own ability to fuel and power our society. The number one mission of this administration is to destroy energy security in the United States, make us dependent on China, and eliminate oil and gas, which is one of the most important energy resources in the world. So the notion that they look at the border, they want an open border. I mean, a border is sacrosanct to being able to protect any state. So the notion that somehow this administration gets the whole concept of vital interests is just wrong. And yeah, I mean, Biden's absolutely right. You know, America would fight to defend Taiwan. That's correct. But having said that, if you look at his defense budgets, look at the money he's put into building up the Navy. And the answer is he's not funding any of that. It's like the mayor who says, oh, of course I want everybody in my community to be safe, and then they defund the police.
Yeah, it's inexplicable. Before I let you go, Jim.
Oh, it's perfectly explicable. But if you're a leftist, there's like it makes perfect sense. It only doesn't make sense if you think the purpose of government is to serve the people that are sovereign in the country, then it doesn't make any sense.
We have 574 days until the next election. Does China, do the people who are crossing our southern border, do they all look at this as a clock ticking down to make the move on Taiwan or to cross the border?
Well, I think, you're of two minds if you're America's enemy. On the one hand, you always say, oh, my God, this guy might not be here forever. How do we take advantage of him? And every day we have less. But on the other hand, you look, and Ukraine's a good example. I mean, Russia should have steamrolled Ukraine. The only reason why it didn't happen was because in the end of the day, the United States stepped up and provided military aid. So it's like we are a Super Bowl team with the world's worst coach. And they're never sure who's going to show up that day. Is everybody going to listen to the world's worst coach and screw up, or are they just going to say, no, we're just going to go out there and play our game? And so on the one hand, they fear us because we are the real obstacle to their evil designs for the world. But on the other hand, they know we're led by a Yahoo, and they want to figure out how to take advantage of that. You know what? This you think it's different, any different than it was in the 1970s under Jimmy Carter? Heck no.
Bonus question: if we go to war, does America are they still positioned to win?
Look, I mean, lots of people have done war games on this, and of course they're always imperfect and everything else. But the same things always happen, which is, can the Chinese cross the Sea of Taiwan? Absolutely. Can they bomb Taiwan? Absolutely. Can they put troops on Taiwan? Absolutely. Can they control the waters between Taiwan and China if the United States chooses to intervene and try to stop them? And the answer is no. That's today. Now, is that going to be true 5 years from now? 10 years from now? I don't know. It depends on how we develop and support our military and what the Chinese do. They're building up their Navy all the time. We are worried about the pronouns of the sailors on the ships.
Man, Jim, you're the best. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for the clarity you bring each week. Always great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Jim Carafano, Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at the Heritage Foundation. That's moderately encouraging. He's on the show, so we are not World War III status right now.
Right.
But he gave us like a 5 to 10 year window of maybe.
Yeah. Don't like that.
I love him. I mean, like I said, 574 days and America gets to make a change. If they want to, will they? Good grief. I don't even know. Let's get our answers to the question on the YouTube poll today. Is America in crisis? Brad, I'm going to ask you about that when we come back. Yes or no? I want to know what you think as well. So send your comments in on the live chat. Maybe Hannah can come in here and read a few of those as they have come in so far during the show. We get the results to that poll in the 2:45 segment when Hannah comes in and releases them to us. So join us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. A reminder, if you're out and about on this beautiful St. Louis afternoon, you can take us with you anywhere you go. Sometimes the 97.1 signal might get a little spotty here and there. You download that Odyssey app, AUDACY, coming clear as a bell. Anywhere you go when you move about the country, not just the community. Is America in crisis? We'll discuss when we come back. Don't go away.
She makes me wait, and I wait without you.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Without you.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Through the storm, we reach the shore.
When I talk about self-protection, when I talk about the firearms that I've purchased with my husband, when I talk about being prepared, and most of all, when I talk about being educated so that you can do so, that you can, practice your Second Amendment rights and exercise your Second Amendment rights with confidence, STS Armory, STS-Armory.com. Go to STS-Armory.com and learn about Pontoon Beach's location where I go. Everybody in my life that is looking to purchase a firearm, especially those people who have never done it before. I have had husbands say, my wife is interested in it, but she's kind of nervous and she's uncomfortable. Man, STS Armory's got her covered. It's got you covered too if that's the situation you're in. Knowing what you're doing and being confident and understanding gun safety and security in your home, where you're carrying, whatever it might be in Illinois, The safety part is easy to learn and understand. Doing it lawfully in Illinois, they make it as difficult as possible. STS Armory walks you through the whole process and makes sure that you've crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. And you should be exercising your Second Amendment rights if you so choose. If you're looking to make a purchase, if you're an experienced buyer, if you're brand new, they've got classes for you. They've also got what you are looking for, and they can help walk you through the whole process. I trust Katie and Jesse completely answering my questions. I hope you will as well. Call them at 618-931-GUNS, 618-931-GUNS, in Pontoon Beach, online at sts-armory.com.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Let's vote for Ophthalmology Associates as best laser eye treatment in St. Louis Magazine's A-List competition. Online at stlmag.com.
Play ball! Step up to the plate by donating your old car to Goodwill and get 4 box seats to a Cardinal game. Your car donation to Goodwill will help people right here in St. Louis. Donating is easy, towing is free, and you get a tax receipt. Plus, you'll get Redbird tickets, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. You can put the car in Cardinal by donating to Goodwill today. Donate online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention promo code Cardinals. Hurry while supplies last.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tuesday afternoon, the very latest on the shooting in Louisville. Also, our weekly visit with Brian Kilmeade.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's a Friday.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
I get to see your face. You've been working, and I've been waiting to pick you up and take you from this place. Love on the weekend, like only we can, like only we can. Love on the weekend, love on the weekend. I'm coming up and I'm loving every minute of it.
It's just not good when you play John Mayer during my show because I'm like, but I want to listen to the song.
I know the whole thing.
Are you a John Mayer fan?
I have became a John Mayer fan since I started working on the show.
My influence?
Listening to all the bump music. So yes, I am now a John Mayer fan and a Taylor Swift fan. Swiftie.
I used to be, I don't even know that I was a closeted Taylor Swift fan. It's hard for me to put myself in a place where I'm like, I'm a huge fan of this person. I just don't give enough of myself over pretty much anything. John Mayer, huge fan. Taylor Swift is awesome. I just love, I am so impressed from a business standpoint what that woman has been able to do. It's just incredibly impressive to listen to what she has done. She's made all this music. The industry tried to screw her over and keep her from benefiting the way she thought she should have. And I saw a clip. It was like a YouTube short or something, and it was her playing at a concert. These pop up in my feed. They understand that I'll watch them. And she was playing the piano, and she was talking about how she re-recorded, because she's re-recorded some of her albums, and it's the same songs that she did previously, but I don't know all the details. I don't even care about them specifically, but what was it? The label owned her songs. Is that right?
Yeah, and so
she wasn't profiting from them. They were profiting ridiculously off of them. She wasn't. So she said, okay, I'm going to re-record all my songs, re-record all my albums. I now own them. And she just essentially asked her fans to support Taylor's version. And they did in a massive way. And it just, to me, was, instead of just going out and whining about everything and everything, like, it's unfair. She's like, here's what we're going to do. And she did it. And she counted on her fans to show up and support her. And they did it. And it's just like, like, I'm watching this going, good for you. And I like her songs. I like her music. I'm impressed by her. And I also think there are some of her songs in maybe the last 5 to 10 years that are more grown up. I think a lot of people think Taylor Swift and they think about like a 16-year-old with an acoustic guitar and curly, long blonde hair. And she's singing songs about like your first crush and being at the football game and stuff. She's a woman now, and she's singing songs that are more about that part of her life. And understanding that she's grown up into that, I really appreciate it. But I'm also sometimes like, all right, daughters of mine, here are the songs that you can listen to.
Right.
And here are the songs that I listen to when I run. Like, this is the difference between the two.
We have a comment on the YouTube stream. I didn't know that John Mayer and Taylor Swift dated.
Oh, yeah. The song Paper Doll by John Mayer is supposed to be about Taylor Swift. And she did a song that's called Dear John.
Oh.
Which is about, I have no idea.
It's like an East Coast, West Coast rap battle, but with acoustic guitars and love songs.
It's fantastic. It's great music. I think that, he's maybe 42 or 43. I think he's like 5 or 6 years older than I am. I did the math a long time ago, I'm just gonna say.
And I love calculator.
And I'm like, oh, could we make this work? That was like when he first came on the scene. And now I'm like, no, we couldn't make that work for a multitude of reasons. But she was very young when they dated. And her problem was like about him taking advantage of her and stuff. But she was of age. So I don't know. The standards are weird.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood, things shift around a little bit.
So I'm back from vacation and I took a week off. And from everything that I've observed, you guys had a good week.
Yeah, I thought it was a great week.
Yeah. What do you mean it was a great week?
Well, not too great. We did miss you, but we did have
Did you guys
fun.
celebrate the whole time I was gone?
Something like that.
Ooh, hesitation.
No, just kidding.
I don't know if celebration is
I did so
quite
much
the right word.
questioning of myself in that 1.5 seconds that you just waited to respond.
No.
Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe other people can do it better.
We are so glad to have you back.
No, I tuned in a couple of times just when I was in my car, and you guys did a wonderful job. There was so much news to cover.
There was a lot. We definitely, there was always something coming up. We had to break into live news a couple of times, and
The
it was a lot.
The Trump arraignment, that one, I was on the board for that one. I've never been as exhausted after a show as I was after that one, because it was basically the whole show was kind of tap dancing. Are they bringing something new? Is Brad Young's commentary as good as what they're saying on the thing? Oh, here comes Trump.
He did, let me interject and say Brad Young just did it. He was the right,
yeah.
It's probably better that he was there and not me. It's like, let's get Brad Young in here next time, something, because I think Trump's going to get charged again. I think there are going to be more indictments down the road, depending on the locations like Crazy Lady on the Georgia grand jury trial. Like, what's happening with this? There is still much to come. I said at home, someone was like, are you just like bursting at the seams needing to talk about this? I go, oh, there'll be more indictments to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have my time in the sun. Watching and consuming the news in bits and pieces like I did over the week, I had to ask myself, is America in crisis? I thought it interesting that in our conversation with Jim Carafano just now, he said he correlated it to the 70s with Jimmy Carter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, is this different than then? And he was like, no. I think that's how he reacted to it.
More or less.
Yeah, he was basically saying, listen, we've been here before. We've seen this. And, so on and so forth. Go listen to the Jim Carafano interview by rewinding on the Odyssey app to about 105. It was a really interesting. We talked to him about China. We talked to him about America's interests and whether the administration. I asked him if the administration's interests are the same as America's interests. And he gave a very definitive answer to that. But you'll have to rewind or check the podcast to find out. I'm looking at all of these stories, and Brad said to me in a message, he's like, how did you word that? Like, you feel strongly that, like, the China question is a bold one for you.
Yeah, we are going to go to war with China.
That's what you think?
Yes. I think there's about a 10-year window here where if things continue at the rate that they're going, we're going to go to war with China. I am not excited about that.
My question to Brad literally was like, but wait, why? I mean, like, there's a standard expectation of, China, American adversary. Like, there's a lot of pressure in this cooker right now, and you kind of wonder where it's going to go. But that's just a standard news story that we could hit on any given day about any particular detail. Brad, why are you messaging me this just kind of out of the blue? Like, and I'm like, are we at war with China? What did I miss? And listening to Jim Carafano talk about it, I think was a very good way to put it in a picture frame and say, this is what we're looking at. Going to war with China is crisis level.
That is big deal stuff.
Big deal. Like, generationally, we've never seen anything like that in our lifetime, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be the closest thing that we would ever experience, because it wouldn't be in Iraq. It would be two modern high-tech militaries squaring off, and both combatants are the 1 and 2 most powerful countries in the world.
So is America in crisis? And when we come back from this segment, we're going to talk about Tyrus's comments last night on Gutfeld, and it has to do with the transgender stuff. I would like to have a group conversation here about that as well. Culturally, are we in crisis? On a geopolitical global scale, are we in crisis? Politically, nationally, are we in crisis? Brad, I said I'd ask you this first, and then Hannah, I'd like to get some comments from the folks. Do you believe that we're in crisis right now?
Right now, yes. I think we're in crisis. I think that caller really kind of put it in perspective for me. I was always thinking, yes, we're definitely in crisis, but trying to explain how this crisis is forming. I think we have a crisis of identity in the United States. We have lost.
That's separate than a political crisis.
Right. But it will boil over and spill over into a political. It has manifested itself in the political battles that we're seeing.
What did Eric Holder and somebody before him said that too, but never let a good crisis go to waste?
Right.
If we are in
Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm Emanuel, that's right. If we are in crisis as a country, obviously politicians are going to see that as an opportunity to take power.
Yeah, and it might have even been a little bit stirred or stoked by politicians because they see by dividing us, they can get us to go into our corners and attack one another, which makes us easier to get the vote. You don't have to put up as good a candidate. You don't have to have good ideas. The extreme wings of either party could take over and be like, well, yeah, but like I'm more apt to go with a Republican extremist than a Democrat extremist. And Democrats are the same way. It's like, I really don't want to go with a Republican extremist. I'm more apt to go with a Democrat extremist. And so we end up with, instead of moderates and people running closer to the middle, you get people on the ends of the spectrum running the show, running the parties, ruling the parties, and all the while telling us, the people that don't agree with you politically are the worst people on the face of the planet. When in fact, they're our neighbors, they're our brothers, our sisters, our co-workers, they're friends, they're people that you wave to whenever you're driving down the road. They're just everyday people going along about our business, but we've lost this identity that at the end of the day, we're all Americans. I mean, the last time I really experienced that was after 9/11.
Right.
Yeah, Hannah, it's hard to explain, but Annie, you know what I'm talking about. Whenever that happened, the days, the weeks, and the months after that, it was all hands in the middle, all on deck.
Well, September 11th gave us a common enemy.
Mm-hmm.
We are each other's enemy.
Right.
If you add a third party in that while we are, if you're intra-fighting in your family, in your house, like you can do that. But if somebody else comes and attacks the family, then you guys pivot away from each other towards the common enemy and wage that battle.
Mm-hmm.
We are each other's enemy within this country right now.
And it feels worse than it ever has, in the sense that if a third party would enter, I'm not sure that we would turn completely and face that person. I think it would just be a three-way firing.
If there was a political advantage, a distinct
Absolutely.
political advantage to continuing the battle here, at the denigration of the other, I don't know either. Hannah, why don't you tell us a couple of the comments? If you would like to weigh in on this, we're going to continue to monitor this. And we got a lot of people on the live stream right now. So please join us at the Annie Frey YouTube, Frey. You just type in YouTube. We're live right there, right now. You can leave your comment in the live chat portion and vote in the live chat poll. Go ahead, Anna.
So our poll is asking today, is America in crisis? Larry on our YouTube channel commented, yes. We have a mental illness crisis. We have crisis at the border. We have a crime crisis, inflation crisis. And because we have a corrupt president, the world is in crisis. Ukraine, China, Iran, Russia, and Afghanistan. KK from YouTube says, yes, America is in crisis. Is it too late? I don't know. Art says that there is definitely a mass shooting crisis. Lori says, America has been in crisis since shortly after Biden took over, even if Democrats don't care to see it. Betsy Miller says, we aren't in a state of crisis, then... Or if we aren't in a state of crisis, then I wouldn't want to see or know what one is.
That is the key here, because that's kind of where I am on this right now. I imagine some people maybe have said or will say that we aren't in a moment of crisis right now, but we are on the brink. If this is the brink of crisis, what does it look like when we are in crisis? And there are people out there who, if Joe Biden decides to run again, and he told Al Roker, whoever was that Al Roker you're talking to? He told Al Roker something to the effect that if you had closed captions, might take the words he said and put it into the statement, I'm going to run, but I haven't announced it yet. Not quite ready to announce. There are people in this country who are going to say, more of him, please. If that's the case, we still are in great opposition. And the reason I say it that way is there are people who see the reality that we're in right now and they like it. There are people like me, probably similar to like you, who look around and go, how could you invest any more effort and energy into more of what we have right now? And I give you Chicago. If Chicago isn't a wake-up call for conservatism everywhere, that the more moderate conservative candidate in a Chicago mayoral race lost to somebody who is going to double down, triple down on what Lori Lightfoot did to Chicago, we may not have reached the crisis breaking point quite yet. And to that question, Betsy, I don't know. I don't want to see what it looks like when we get there. Keep the comments coming in, Hannah. I'll keep setting them aside so we can feature more of them throughout the show. You are listening to the Annie Frey Show. When we come back, we'll have a little more discussion on a few of the stories that I set aside. And one of the key ones being, guys, BudLight. BudLight! I'm not a huge beer drinker. There are a few beers out there that I enjoy. I'm more of a local whiskey girl than a beer drinker. But BudLight, what are you doing? What is going on? We'll talk about Dylan Mulvaney, BudLight, and Tyrus's comments on Gutfeld last night. A little John Mayer before we take a quick break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
My clothes are dirty and my friends are getting worried. Down there below.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Down, down, down. And I'll be dreaming of the next time we can go into another serotonin overflow. Love on the weekend, love on the weekend. I'm busted up, but I'm loving every minute of it.
So I want to talk to you about the Illinois Family Institute. Interesting to be discussing Chicago quite a bit on the show today. The Illinois Family Institute, online at illinoisfamily.org. This is an organization whose mission it is to boldly bring biblical perspectives to public policy. A lot of people want to talk about separation of church and state and so on and so forth. But hey, why are we not investing more time and energy being somebody who is a Christian, if that describes who you are, if you appreciate biblical perspectives, and having that influence as a constituent on what your government is doing? The Illinois Family Institute makes this simple for you. You can go to illinoisfamily.org and you can sign up for their newsletter and their alerts to be aware of what is taking place in the state of Illinois. There are going to be certain things that you're going to read on there that you're going to say, yes, I'm so glad that somebody is covering this. I'm so glad that I have this information, and you are given the steps you need to get involved, to fill out witness slips, to be engaged with the people who are legislating you, especially when the Republicans are in a super minority, a growing super minority in that General Assembly. illinoisfamily.org is where you go to stay connected. I appreciate the work that they put in, and I'd like you to give them the chance to inform you on these issues so that you can consume it and make educated reactions yourself. Go to illinoisfamily.org.
Hi, guys. It's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available, and it isn't a pill? Today, Tuesday, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now, and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 314-530-7777.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com, or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to $7,500 on a new hybrid HVAC system and save an additional 20% when bundled with attic insulation. This is a limited time offer. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
22 years of questioning the narrative. Thanks for making 97.1 FM Talk your home for conservative talk.
You like a shot, thought that I could chase you with a cold evening. Let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you.
Well, I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over BudLight. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men.
Hannah, do you need him? Are you okay?
No, not after hearing that. I've never heard that.
You never heard that?
No.
She's the marketing exec for Bud Light.
Wow. Maybe not for long.
Brad, you sit this one out just for a second. You can just listen.
I'm good.
Okay? She is saying that Bud Light needs to be more inclusive and that the old, tired, fratty boy way that Bud Light marketed before, that needs to go away. And I'm sitting Brad out because I'm assuming he probably fits in the fratty boy category in this woman's mind. Don't you think, Brad? You step back in the conversation here.
Maybe
Don't
to
you
her.
think-
To her.
to her.
Yeah.
She has been tasked to solve a problem, Brad. And Brad, you're the problem.
What else is new?
Fact. Hannah. Okay, Brad. Do producer things over there for a second.
Go be a fratty boy over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Got a beer ball. in
White
your
man,
keg.
sit this one out.
Got a keg to stand on.
A keg of Yingling over there for the pastor who doesn't even drink. But regardless, it's about the cause, people. Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
This woman who's making these marketing decisions is saying that the solution to Bud Light's problem of being a dying beer,
which it's not.
Well, I don't know the statistics on whatever. But is that their old way of marketing, their old way of targeting, essentially motivated by sports, fratty, whatever that word means, the idea essentially of heterosexual white males, American heterosexual white males. That's basically what she's saying here. Because the solution to her problem is Dylan Mulvaney, everybody's favorite woman, that she has been tasked with solving this problem. And I just want to sidestep the obvious conversation, the Dylan Mulvaney thing. We could talk about that. I think we're going to talk about that at 2:00 because Tyrus's comments on this, I keep pushing him off, but I want to give it due diligence and get the whole crew in here to discuss it. What she doesn't understand is that there are women in this country who find what Bud Light has done in the past humorous.
Yes.
And engaging.
Yes.
And the idea of Bud Light making commercials that might be top tier level commercials for a Super Bowl game or stuff that goes on, during a Cardinals game, sports, whatever, or these just like Budweiser doing the frogs and the log and all of that stuff, which is different than Bud Light, but same company. That the idea of marketing to this group of people who might be interested in sports or things that are traditionally for cisgender heterosexual males, that leaves out women. I suggest that it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I'm not a Bud Light drinker, but now I'm drawn away from it. I don't want it. And if they're trying to tap into inclusive, whatever they're trying to do,
You got a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up from the quiet white male in the back of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put those thumbs down here,
doing
not
it
up
over
here.
there.
Keep them low. It's a secret.
I do not who are they trying to include? It's not women. I don't feel included in that at all. I don't get what they're trying to do.
Gosh, I can't wait to talk to you in the next segment about this and get your thoughts on this, Brad. We'll let you back in the room. The idea that the future of brands, because this is bigger than Bud Light, that the future of brands is inclusivity. And that in order for a brand like Bud Light, it's a beer, to reach a broader audience is to take the path of I'll say it, transgender woman, put her face, I'll say it, on the beer can and give it to Dylan when she's dressed like Audrey Hepburn in a bathtub. Hannah, how often do you behave that way?
Never.
But this is inclusive. This is to represent women, to make women go, oh, Bud Light cares about us too. This is not about the complicated things in life like football. Bud Light gets me.
Bud Light does not. I'm repulsed by this. I kind of wish I didn't hear that clip. That was a horrible clip.
Brad, you want to step back in the room here?
Sure.
We need an intellectual opinion on this. Come mansplain to us what Bud Light is trying to do, because this is about including people that are normally marginalized. And I really can't tell if the left is interested in elevating women these days or squashing them down into oblivion.
I am not that type of woman, and I never will be that type of woman that they're putting on that can.
Well, like, my understanding is that type of woman doesn't say, you know what I need? I need a hot bath, a towel, and a Bud Light. And if only they didn't make those commercials about twins, then I could just have one. I don't see that. I don't understand that. I mean, it's just so you're this is just from a business perspective, but you're abandoning your base, your bread and butter, to go after somebody that doesn't want you anyway, because if they wanted you anyway, they'd be buying your product to begin with.
I double down on this, and this is the same bologna sausage that Disney has tried to pull in the past and has failed, I might add. Check the stock price and the history of it. And other groups, Nike included, who are not selling you their products. They're selling you the association to public displays of virtue, PDV, where when you consume a brand or a service by one of these businesses, you are showing the world that I'm not like them. I'm one of the good people. Look, I buy Nike. Look, I drink Bud Light. I love and care about everybody. We don't live in a world right now where if you don't drink Bud Light, that the default assumption about you is that you're a good person. There is great value in the way we market things today, in the association to brands who say that unless you participate in the purchasing of this brand, you are a hateful person. That's false, but it sells. Let's talk more about that when we come back. Don't go away.
If you own a home in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is, without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes, stlouis.com at 314-782-8000 and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant homes, inherited homes, fixer-uppers, beautiful homes, even the tenant who won't pay the rent apartment. Google us. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out our best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to our website, chrisbuyshomes.stlouis.com, or call Chris at 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000, and get the offer you've been waiting for. 314-782-8000.
TheDiamondShop.net, TheDiamondShop.net. If you were looking for that Mother's Day gift, we're a month away from Mother's Day right now. There is something beautiful in your budget. Your budget could be less than $100. Your budget could be thousands of dollars for mom or for the wife or for the new mom. When you go to the Diamond Shop, you walk in and you say, this is what I'm looking for. This is who I'm shopping for. Maybe you're shopping for yourself. Maybe you're a kick-butt mom and you want to reward yourself with something beautiful that makes you happy. And you go to the Diamond Shop, they're going to set you up as well. When you go online to thediamondshop.net, you can sign up for their VIP program. You get special discounts and merchandise by being a VIP. And you are part of the Diamond Shop family, which I'm a part of. When you shop at the Diamond Shop, a St. Louis staple when it comes to great care in the jewelry business, you will become a repeat customer in no time because they care about you, they bring you in, they respect you, and they deliver the top quality products that you are seeking out. TheDiamondShop.net.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Investigating an intelligence leak. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. The Pentagon is working to find the source of a major leak of classified military intelligence.
White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby admits he does not know if more is out there after classified material, including intelligence assessments about Ukraine's war efforts and Israel's intelligence agency, appeared online in recent weeks.
The Department of Defense has referred this to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation.
Kirby says it appears at least some of the material has been altered. Sources tell Fox News the revelations are likely not from a cyber attack.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Louisville, Kentucky Metro Interim Police Chief Jackie Gwynn Villaroel says the gunman behind yesterday's deadly attack at a downtown bank bought his AR-15 rifle legally from a local gun dealer.
He purchased the weapon used in this tragic incident on yesterday on April the 4th.
5 people were killed in that attack, several others wounded. A police officer remains in critical condition from a gunshot wound to the head. The gunman was killed by responding officers. Before boarding Air Force One today for a trip to Northern Ireland, President Biden criticizing a federal judge's order rescinding FDA approval of mifepristone, a drug used in medical abortions.
Completely out of bounds what the judge did.
The Justice Department isn't appealing the ruling over the drug, which was given FDA approval more than 20 years ago. All 11 Democratic members of the Senate Judiciary Committee are demanding an investigation of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. It comes after a ProPublica report claiming the High Court senior member failed to disclose luxury vacations paid for by Republican megadonor Harlan Crow. Justice Thomas has stated that he was advised he did not need to disclose those gifts. America is listening to Fox News.
Could you use some extra help meeting basic needs? Like putting food on the table or paying the rent? Keeping your home warm and the lights on? Buying new shoes for growing feet? Or help with medical needs? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. It's money you can use to help pay for basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, or medical needs. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you're 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to learn more about SSI and start the application process today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Near perfect weather continues on this April afternoon. Lots of sunshine, 78 for the high today. Tonight, clear and mild, 52. Wednesday, sunny, 78. Thursday, sunshine, 79, 80 for the high Thursday afternoon. And Friday, partly sunny and 75. A big old blocking high pressure system right over the middle of the country. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the bagel loan that you've heard so much about. It's real. I've used it twice to refinance my home, and I want you to consider using the bagel loan for your next home purchase. Securing a mortgage is a really important step in the process of getting your dream home. If you are relocating, you want to make sure that you have the best possible mortgage situation over the course of those 30 years that you might be signing those mortgages, maybe less if you want a shorter duration. When you work with the bagel loan, at Stewart's American Mortgage and only at Stewart's American Mortgage, you're going to pay zero in closing costs that all of those other lenders out there are going to charge you for. You call him at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440 and get connected with Stewie today. It's an old-fashioned way of doing business. You do it directly with him. He is attentive. He is great to work with, and he can close in 15 days. It's fantastic. You're going to be the most competitive buyer. You're going to get that dream home, and it all starts with making the smart decision to use the bagel loan. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you hate standing on concrete floors because of foot, knee, or low back pain?
I couldn't stand on hard surfaces. The pain would get so severe that I couldn't stand it.
Tired of living in pain?
I wanted to take off my shoes as soon as I got home every day.
You need comfort in your life.
Now I have no foot pain and I can wear any dress shoe that I want.
Good Feet fits in all your shoes. Ladies, you can now be comfortable in your favorite high heels. Good Feet. No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Dearborns.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Hey fans, I'm breaking down MLB Play. I think they're the best MLB games. Now my personal favorite, Beat the Streak. Pick who you'll think will get a hit building your own streak. It's all on you, baby. You can win $5.6 million. The streak's alive! Next up, Pickle. Guess the player in the fewest number of tries. Got him! And there's other games like Bingo, a race to be first. Bingo, MLB Play. Great games, great prizes, and it's all free. No purchase necessary. Restrictions apply. See official rules and enter at MLB.com/play. Oh yeah!
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at SteelUSA.com.
Countdown to Earth Day. Just 11 days to go. When replacing light bulbs, opt for LED bulbs. They are the most energy efficient of any bulb and last for years. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Connect with the personalities and give your feedback. 97.1 FM Talk is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For content that's additional to the radio, join us there.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
All jokes aside, the ugliness of this is, you mentioned Rachel Dolezal, right, who wanted to live her life as a black woman. And she was doing what? Working to enrich and help black kids get into school. And everyone was attacking her for stealing a culture. Yeah, even though she was doing things, and myself, I made jokes, but she was doing things to try to help the group that she wanted to imitate. How many times did you see her on TV go, yeah, girl, what? I got a baby daddy, huh? No, never did that once. And if she did, we'd be saying what? She was wearing blackface. She was being racist.
The interesting thing what Tyrus was saying last night, and I got more clips from this because I was just, of all of the times that I've seen Tyrus make really fantastic, salient, straight to the point, in his words, enough said kind of comments about whatever's going on in the news, last night I thought was one of the best I've ever heard him do. And it's about an issue that is very important to me. And that is, where What is women's place right now in our society and in our culture? Where do women stand? Because I grew up, my grandmother was from Australia. She grew up in a situation in Australia where she, at 14, was pretty much having to raise, I think, 5 siblings or something like that. Her mother died when she was very young, and the father situation wasn't fantastic, and she had to grow up really fast. She served in the Australian military in World War II. That's where she met my grandpa, who came from the Metro East in Illinois. They met, they fell in love, they got married. She came back on a ship to the United States. The rest is history. She was so, watching her as a young girl myself, watching her care deeply about the voice that women have in society and culture. She was what I would call progressive in advocating for women to have a voice, to have a place, the ability to contribute. But we're talking about somebody who was born in the 1920s. We're not talking about somebody who was born in the 1990s, women having a voice. She understood, listen, Black men in this country had the right to vote way before white women had the right to vote. Feminism, generationally, has brought women into a place in society and culture where we are equals, where we can sit at a boardroom table, where we can sit at home with our children because we choose to, and it's what we want to do, not what society says we have to do. And I say this as a mother of 4 sitting at work right now. We have choice. We have say because we have equal value. I think about women who want to do things that are traditionally roles that had been suited for males. If you can cut it, you can do it. This is what women who generationally came before me fought for, which is equality. The right to vote. The right to be treated equally in the workplace. And I look at what's taking place right now. I look at the world that exists right now. And I'm saying to myself, where do women fit into culture in this moment in time? And Tyrus brings up Rachel Dolezal. Are you familiar with her, Hannah?
No, I'm not.
That makes sense to me because this one was, I would have guessed that's like 2015, maybe even before that.
I would say it was like 2016.
She is a woman who is white, and she presented herself. I'm just showing you a picture in studio here, right here, Hannah. That's her. She has curly hair, curly dark hair. Skin is very tanned. She has green eyes. She was like a black rights activist. Would you? That's how you?
Yeah. I think she might have been part of the NAACP even.
Yes. She presented herself as if she was in some quantity or whatever it is, African American. She was white, but she looked black. She presented herself and engaged in activities in her life that made it so that she was identifying as black. And she was not. When Tyrus talks about Rachel Dolezal and the idea that you have a white woman presenting herself as a black woman, that would be transracial.
Right.
People, when it came out that she was actually white, people lost their minds. And it makes sense to suggest, we talk about the idea of blackface. People put blackface on. It is never acceptable. It is never okay. That's something that I think society, 99% of society gets that point. You can't take somebody's skin color and just put it on your face and now represent a culture that you are not a part of. When Rachel Dolezal did that, there was a collective, probably gasp, and no, you can't do that. This is not permitted. You're not allowed to do this. Society went to get collectively, Rachel, no, and said that this trans racial behavior was not acceptable. When Dylan Mulvaney, who was born a male, is a transgender female, and there are going to be people, okay, you're going to come on here and you're going to comment, you're going to say, Annie, don't say she, don't say her, don't refer to her as a woman. Here's the deal. It does not affect my life what Dylan Mulvaney chooses to do with Dylan's life. If she wants to be called she, I'm not going to take my time here to specifically work to disrespect her because I don't need to disrespect her. I'm not winning anything by saying something to Dylan or about Dylan just to try to offend Dylan. But there is a moment in time where you look at what Dylan Mulvaney is doing and what Dylan Mulvaney is displaying, and you have to ask yourself, what is Dylan Mulvaney representing? If you want to say that Dylan Mulvaney is representing transgender women, and here's the deal. I have heard people say, I don't understand if it's transgender man or transgender female. I'm going to give you a moment here to understand how the language works. You can choose to use it however you want. If you're a male who's transitioned to a female, you are a transgender woman. You're transgender because you've changed your genders and you are presenting as a woman. That would make Dylan Mulvaney a transgender woman. I hope I got that right. If I just explained that wrong, I am so sorry, but that is how I understand it. Dylan Mulvaney is representing transgender women. And if BudLight wants to celebrate transgender women, then BudLight should celebrate transgender women. Here's where I get really pissed off. Dylan Mulvaney is not representing women. There is a difference between being a transgender woman and being a woman. I could go in detail about the biological burden that I have had to bear in my life as a woman. If you're a transgender woman, there are parts of that woman part that you will never endure. That doesn't make you not a transgender woman, but that makes it different than being a woman. If Nike wants to step into the fray and sell sports bras to women who need to hold things in and hold things up, and you think that Dylan Mulvaney is the person to show women what sports bra they might want to wear, you are not interested in the function of said sports bra. You are interested in reaching people who value the Nike swoosh across their sports bra that shows the world that you are one with Nike. There is value in that. There is marketing genius in that if the culture and the climate still values the virtue that is being signaled more than the function of said bra. If BudLight wants to value and invest in the idea of what it means to drink a Bud Light, then they are not caring about what it tastes like to drink a Bud Light. Because if you get someone to drink a Bud Light and it's delicious and it's your favorite beer, they just keep buying Bud Light. What Bud Light is trying to do is reach into our culture today and say, for $24, I don't know how much beer $24 buys. If you, it used to be, I used to think in my mind for a bottle, $1 of beer was good. And I don't think you can buy $1 a beer bottle.
That doesn't seem right. Has to be more expensive.
Now, I haven't bought beer in a long time. It's like $1.50. I don't know. But if you think that buying a case of Bud Light, putting it in your cart, taking it to the party you're going to go to or passing it out to your friends, and if you think that you're going to pass out Bud Light today, I mean, imagine this. You have a get together. You got 24 people. coming over to your house to celebrate something. If Bud Light is the only thing you pass out, in some circles, people are going to drink an extra Bud Light because of what Bud Light has just chosen to do with their marketing dollars. There are plenty of people in this country who will say, I see you got Bud Light for tonight. Awesome job. Way to go. High five. There are going to be people who are never going to buy Bud Light again. Bud Light knows this. They understand this. And they are banking on more people wanting to have the Bud Light at the party so that you can clink your beer bottles and cheers to the virtue that you are now all collectively sharing while you drink your Bud Light beer. Fine. Bud Light. Roll the dice on that. I would be interested to see how that plays out for you. I can see other companies, Nike, when they went in all in with Colin Kaepernick, they had a big spike. They played their cards right. Because at the end, it was only ever about the bottom line. This is not about the virtued nature of these companies. They are rolling the dice that they are going to make more money off of the global community because they've taken this angle. They are playing everybody. This is what advertising is. This is not like an endorsement of or against what it is. I'm just telling you the facts. It's about money. But I am not going to sit here and listen to more of what Dylan Mulvaney has to say about how Dylan is exactly like me. That's not an accurate comparison. I am not like Dylan. Dylan is not like me. That doesn't mean that you have to discount in the process who Dylan is and identifies as. Tyrus is standing up for women here.
Devin's wearing woman face. Mm-hmm. He's parading around like the dumbest woman in the world. Yeah. You guys didn't know what happens in March.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. That's women. Yeah. Women are bubbly and dumb and cry and make faces. That's blackface, but it's woman face. And that used to be not okay.
It used to be not okay. Why is it still not okay when people like Rachel Dolezal do it when they're transracial? Why is it okay? Why are more people not doing what Tyrus is doing here and standing up for the women who are being marginalized in this process? Because when you put Dylan Mulvaney in her social media ads and she's rolling around in a bathtub with bubbles dressed like Audrey Hepburn with a beer can, and she's talking about how March is some type of big sports month here, and I didn't know that. The portrayal of what you're suggesting that a woman is, forget about the biology of it. You're essentially saying that what Dylan chooses to exemplify as being female, the prancing, the constant investment in what these hyper stereotypical caricatures of what a female is, what they do, what they know, what they like, what they hate, does not represent all women. Women are dynamic. Women are diverse. Hannah and I, both females sitting in here, have different interests, have different things that are our responsibilities, have different outlooks on different things, because you can't just say, this here is what women do and invest in it. We need to nuance this conversation. People will say that Dylan Mulvaney is not a woman. I understand that. Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender woman, whatever that means in today's society. But it is important, incredibly important, to delineate what Dylan Mulvaney is doing and what women in this country are having to absorb because people who want to make money. Never let a crisis go to waste. Never let an instance like this go to waste on the backs of females at the degradation of women and the gains they've made in this country. They're investing in a return that they think the usage of somebody like Dylan Mulvaney is going to get them in their bottom line. It'll be very interesting to me to see if that risk, if that roll of the dice is correct. I'm going to get your thoughts on this, Brad and Hannah, when we come back. And we'll read some comments, too, if we get them, on the live chat, Danny Frey YouTube channel. Go check us out right there. I want to know what you think. I don't hate Dylan Mulvaney. I don't care what Dylan Mulvaney does with his life. But big companies are seeing the advantage here, and it's, in the end, going to hurt women. Let's talk about more of it when we come back. Don't go away.
Rain, no footsteps on the ground. I'm listening, but there's no sound.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Isn't anyone trying to
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
It's that damn cold night. I'm trying to figure out this life. Won't you?
Let's talk about Ruler Foods and how Ruler Foods can save your family money every time you go and shop there. You don't have to clip coupons in order to go in and save. It's simple. You walk in the door, you get a cart with your quarter, and you put food in it and groceries and your general grocery supplies in it, and then you just save because it's cheaper. They have Kroger brands at Ruler Foods prices. You walk through the store, it makes a ton of sense the way the stores are laid out. Very clean, very organized, very simple to shop, and it's like thoughtless to save money because you just go in and shop and you are going to save money throughout the process. They have fantastic deals on name brands that you love coming up here in starting tomorrow. They have great savings on Mountain Dew products and on Pepsi products. They have great products in the meat department that you can save great amounts of money on, like pork steaks and just really, really great food available to you at lower prices. Ruler Foods is there every day helping you save money. If you are somebody who has a routine grocery shopping experience and you just go to the same place, same day, same time, just stop by on a whim, walk through a Ruler Foods, and immediately you'll see, wow, I could save a lot of money on these staple products each and time I shop every week. Find the Ruler Foods closest to you. Go to rulerfoods.com.
Behind every great fortune lies a great crime. But what poisonous secret lies under one of the nation's most prestigious universities? Uncover the crime at the heart of Stanford University and the new true crime series, Bitter Academia.
After a while, Jade Stanford learns that when this much money is at stake, you cannot really trust anyone.
Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Updating your home with James Hardie siding has never been more popular. With all of the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
An update from the Illinois Family Institute, illinoisfamily.org. Abortion in Illinois is funded by taxpayers, and there are fresh legislative attacks against pregnancy care centers. But there are ways to counter that. Sidewalk counseling, communicating with lawmakers, and more.
Obviously, we need to pray. Nevertheless, what should be in the more? How about running for office? If you're not happy with the policies, then switch out the politicians.
Tom Morrison with BigTentIL.com served 12 years in the legislature. He's now recruiting candidates to run for office in the 2024 election.
Let's start moving the needle on the state of Illinois. Let's start getting us back to a more compassionate, sensible state.
Visit illinoisfamily.org for information about issues that impact life and sign up for IFI email updates at illinoisfamily.org.
If you want to see better in the new year, there's no better time to call Brinton Vision than right now. Mark Cox here. My friends at Brinton have everything you need to get the crisp, clear vision you've always wanted. Call them at 314-375-2020 or go online today to brintonvision.com. They are the only team in Missouri to perform all 7 FDA-approved forms of vision correction. That includes modern LASIK, permanent contact lenses, and if you have bad reading vision, they even have treatments for you too. So stop throwing your money away. My wife got lens replacement. She sees perfectly these days, and she loves it. Quit putting it off. If it's standing in your way of achieving your goals and your resolutions, Brenton Vision is here to help. Call them today at 314-375-2020. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. That's 314-375-2020. Or schedule right now at BrentonVision.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
Remember the words you told me, love me till the day I die. Surrender my everything, 'cause you made me believe you're mine.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Yeah, you used to call me baby, now you
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
takes one to know one, yeah, you beat me at my own damn game. You pushing, I'm pulling away from you. I give and you take, young blood, see you want me.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We're grateful that you are here today with us. Thanks for sharing some of your afternoon with us. Beautiful afternoon here in St. Louis. If you're listening to us outside of the St. Louis area, I hope that your day is as beautiful as it is here. We've been talking about the Dylan Mulvaney thing, and I think that it's important to articulate when you're discussing Dylan Mulvaney, because it's a very charged name to talk about. There is a highly influential TikTok influencer, Dylan Mulvaney, who is transgender female. And I saw some comments here in the live chat today saying, Annie, using their pronouns is part of their game and that you choose not to participate in it. I understand that. You get to use the words that you want to use, even if they offend somebody. If you were to call somebody a pronoun that is against what they identify as, you have a First Amendment right to say that. They have a right to be offended by it. And then, our country and our culture is founded on the idea of being able to speak freely. And so I understand people who are conflicted by that. The reason I'm not doing that is because, to me, the point here isn't specifically how Dylan feels in this instance. And if I use this time to talk about how, I'm only going to use he, him pronouns with Dylan, that becomes the topic of conversation. That becomes the issue, which is specific to Dylan. And I think this is a broader issue. And I'm not going to spend my time right now emphasizing what would be, in many cases with a lot of people, intentional disrespect to Dylan Mulvaney by saying pronouns that are not the ones that Dylan chooses. Tyrus was talking about this on Gutfeld last night, and I just think that he was so spot on, and I wish that we would hear more men. I know we've discussed it here in some level. I'm not talking about the men here specifically, Brad. I'm not calling you out because we discuss this quite a bit. But on a national stage, I wish we would have more men who would stand up and be willing to have this conversation and defend women who, specifically in sports, which is where it becomes very personal to me. I was an athlete through my senior year of high school, played 4 sports, and nobody cared about girls basketball. This is the most anybody has cared about this moment in time right now, after Iowa LSU March Madness. This is the most respect I have ever seen girls athletics have, for good reason. I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy about it. Let me ask you this. If you took somebody from a team that played in the NIT, didn't make the big tournament. If you take somebody who was in the NIT and they decided to identify as a female and put them in on either Iowa or LSU, the two teams that were in the championship, would that dramatically affect the outcome of that game?
100%.
If you were betting on that game, would it affect the team that you chose to bet on?
I would bet to win. And so, yeah.
Why?
Well,
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. There's different physical advantages.
The disadvantage that girls' sports has had on an entertainment level for all of time has been that women athletics are not as advanced as male athletics. And the only thing that's different there is biology.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is. I was thinking about how people were, that one of the phrases that we hear people say, we need to listen to the science. Let's drop the in that sentence. Let's listen to science, not the science, because the science is like a capital T, capital S experience that can be marketed and packaged and sold to people, which is the opposite of what science is. There is no question that shouldn't be allowed to be asked if you are participating in scientific method. Scientific method is just about constantly trying to prove things. Prove it right, prove it wrong. Asking a ton of questions over and over and over again. Tyrus on Gutfeld last night continued talking
now
about.
You got the same thing where now men who dress as women can chase a woman down the hall, threaten to beat her up, demand that she gives them money to let her go, and they're applauded for it. So when does this stop? Next time there's domestic violence, a woman has the holy liver beat out of her, but the man says he identifies as a woman, and then we don't really know what a woman is anymore, so it was just a fair fight between two people. So we need to start, it's less a joke and more of an attack on women.
If there is an instance where two people are involved in an altercation, and one of them is a biological woman and the other one is a transgender woman, and the transgender woman beats the crap out of a biological woman because the transgender woman has a biological advantage over the woman. We are not living in a culture right now, Brad, where we look at that and comfortably say how wrong it is.
I don't understand why that is, because
it's because people are scared.
I would say that, and then there's another significant portion of people who are just buying into whatever the narrative is, whatever the lie is. They cherry pick their data or whatever to try to say that there is no difference. The problem is like whenever you start talking about the biological differences between men and women, you can't just throw somebody on testosterone blockers and then be like, oh, they're the same now. My dad has a medical treatment, and he's had to go on testosterone blockers for this medical treatment. My dad is still my dad. He's still the man he was before he went on those, and it hasn't weakened him. It hasn't changed him. It hasn't done any of that. Certain things are permanent. When you spend your whole life getting a certain hormone, your bone density is there, the muscle build is there, the height is there, all of that stuff is there, and you just don't stop it, and then everything starts reversing. Those changes are there. It's been made. It's been permanent. You can't just reverse it. And this idea that, okay, what we need to do, and the reason we're doing it is because really we don't want to offend somebody. We don't want to hurt them. You said this isn't about how Dylan feels, but I would actually argue this whole thing is about how somebody feels about this. We're looking at trying to reorder an entire society because whatever the reason, whatever the cause, be it medical or physical or whatever, these people do not feel like the gender they were born. They just don't. In their brain, in their body, whatever you want to say, they don't feel that. So we're trying to reorder society so that they do feel that. And it's not just that they, like you were saying, Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender woman. Dylan Mulvaney doesn't want to be a transgender woman.
Correct.
Dylan Mulvaney wants to be a woman. Dylan wants you to see Dylan the same way I see Annie. And that's a reality that we can't change.
Well, here's the thing. You're right about this because it's about, talking about how Dylan feels about what pronouns I do use. I know there are people who particularly, they can't say he, him enough about Dylan Mulvaney. It's important to them to get out that it is a he, him. Okay. First Amendment rights, you get to do that. Dylan Mulvaney can call you names. That's Dylan's First Amendment rights. You can go back and forth, and the world is so much better for all of it. What I'm saying is, in reaction to your comment, Brad, about Dylan Mulvaney wants to be seen as a woman. That is true.
I don't even think...
I am saying that out of an effort to try to get to the larger picture here, which is where all of this leaves women, that I want to continue to focus on that and not get so easily distracted about, did you hear Annie say he, him about Dylan Mulvaney? I don't care about that. It doesn't bother me. When you say, Brad, that Dylan Mulvaney wants to be seen as a woman, I don't care about that either. I have no obligation to satisfy the wants and needs of Dylan Mulvaney. I believe I have a Christian obligation to talk about these things in the culture that exists today, and to say where I'm coming from, and when I believe something, I say Christian, not about where Christianity rests on this particular issue. I'm talking about where Christianity rests on how I react to the issue, where my behavior comes into play, my choices that I make to discuss these things on a very public stage, that I can approach a subject like this still with the intention and implementation of kindness and still adhere exactly to facts as they exist. And if I approach a conversation discussing the Dylan Mulvaneys of the world with the purposeful intent of insulting, demeaning, and disrespecting Dylan Mulvaney for Dylan's chosen existence, and I do it to attack the individual, I don't believe that that's Christian. I don't believe that that's Christ-like. And I think that bringing truth to a conversation and doing so in a way that speaks facts, that comes to a very complicated, tense conversation where I'm going to have disagreements about how I see Dylan Mulvaney and how Dylan Mulvaney wants to be seen, I'm going to disagree with Dylan Mulvaney on what that's called. I'm going to say you are a transgender woman, and that's not the same as being a woman. And if Dylan Mulvaney wants to be seen not as a transgender woman, but as a woman, that doesn't change my perspective at all. My concern about what Dylan Mulvaney wants does not influence the truth that exists. But you can still approach this issue with kindness. You can still disagree with Dylan Mulvaney and not hate. And you can still participate in a conversation that at the end, the idea that somebody like Dylan Mulvaney, the athlete version, say Leah Thomas, is taking the place of a woman who puts herself and has competed and has trained and has worked her tail off to accomplish something in a swimming pool, being at the disadvantage of the biology that exists, the science, or just science that exists in a person like Leah Thomas. You are going back on every generational feministic improvement that my mother and my grandmother's generation and the generations that have come before them have worked to get us to this place where now, because in my opinion, it's not about the culture. It's not about virtue. It's about selling virtue. It's about money. Because without a massive platform, without the beer can that has Dylan Mulvaney's face on it, we're not talking about this video. Without the Nike provided apparel so that Dylan Mulvaney can do her, whatever you call that. Was aerobics? I don't even know what Dylan was doing. It's nothing that I've ever done. I don't exemplify all women either. Just because Dylan Mulvaney wants something, in no way, shape, or form means that Dylan Mulvaney gets what she wants. But I still think it's incumbent upon people who do disagree with it to identify what the actual issue is and to not approach it in a hateful way and not shy away from talking about it with kindness that is underscored and built firmly on a foundation of truth.
My thing about this is when you talk about kindness and being it, that's intent, but also offense is taken, it's not given. So you could be making your best effort to be non-offensive, to, like you said, speak the truth. And as we're called to as Christians, to speak the truth in love. And that offense will be taken anyway. It doesn't matter how hard you try. And why I said this, and you added a word that I won't add. I don't think Dylan Mulvaney wants to be seen as a woman. I think Dylan Mulvaney wants to be a woman.
Well, of course she does.
And my problem with this is I can't alter reality to fit what Dylan wants.
But Dylan doesn't need you to.
But Dylan does.
No. Maybe in Dylan's mind, but Dylan doesn't get that. Dylan's not entitled to that.
But the culture right now is telling us that we owe that to Dylan to be common, nice, decent people.
Only if you turn yourself over to it.
But I don't. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that the culture isn't turning and fighting me. And where that brings the problem in for women is women have fought a long time to get where they're at. Now you've got people who are trying to encroach on that space who are not women, who want to be women, and it's important and it's vital to their worldview, to their sense of reality, that you perceive them as a woman, that you look at them no different than you would look at them as any other woman. And they come in there and they say, you have to let us in, and if you don't, you are causing physical harm, you're denying my existence, because if you don't agree with their existence, then you are denying their existence.
Sure.
And that's akin.
I don't understand what you're saying that is different than what I said.
What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, whenever you deny their existence, when you don't give them what they're demanding, then to them, you are the bigot. To culture, you are the bigot.
Well, of course. But I'm telling you that I don't care. And I'm saying that you can't give in to a reality that you don't believe in because you're scared. And you have to be able to step into the conversation and talk about it. But it is not, whether I choose to use the pronouns that Dylan wants me to use or the pronouns that I believe are factually based, that conversation, everybody can choose to, you could do both in kindness. And I'm just telling you what I choose to do. I don't understand what, we can't care about what Dylan Mulvaney needs. What he wants, what she wants, what they require, because they don't get to take that unless we can only provide it.
Right. And so whenever we draw these lines.
What lines?
The lines of, say, you cannot participate in women's sports. You cannot enter into spaces that were designated for women. You cannot enter into these areas. We are necessarily causing a catastrophic event in their life, which will always be perceived as being unkind, being nice, but not being empathetic.
I don't give a crap about what they perceive it as. The only thing I can control is my actions and my presentation. That's my whole point. Is the idea that me standing up and saying, no, you should not be able to be a transgender woman in a pool with other women, out swimming them by a full lap because you're biologically advantaged in that situation. That is worth standing up for, but you have to do it in a way that is appropriate. And the difference between standing up for what you believe in and doing it in a way that is based in fact. And I mean, sometimes facts hurt. Sometimes the truth hurts, but that doesn't mean you don't say it. You also don't need to overemphasize. You don't. Dylan Mulvaney doesn't have to agree with you for you to be right.
I understand that.
Well, I don't really understand what we're arguing about.
What I'm getting at.
I feel like you're.
Well, what I'm getting at is that I'm just making the point that you're going to try your best to be nice, to be polite, and it won't matter.
But that's not, no, I'm not trying my best to be nice and polite. Being nice and polite isn't the goal. Getting the truth out is the goal. You just do it with the intention of kindness, focused on the truth. That's the whole point.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we're saying the same thing. And like the whole time.
But as a guy, I look at this and I look at the whole situation and I don't quite I know I don't understand what it is to be a woman because I've never been one. All I know is what it is to be Brad. And I look at this and I watch how this affects my wife. I watch how it affects my nieces. I watch how it affects other women that I work with, you and Hannah. I look at all of this and I see that it's causing harm. It's causing distress to y'all. And nobody seems to want to talk about it because they're so worried about the other side's feelings. And what we have is one of those problems where there's no good solution because there's no answer where one of those two sides
Brad, my
comes out.
entire point is that it needs to be talked about.
Right.
And when you talk about it, it doesn't need to be in a way that is based in, I'm going to teach Dylan Mulvaney a lesson. Because I don't need to change Dylan Mulvaney's existence, how Dylan Mulvaney identifies. I don't need to change any of that. But I will tell you that the way that this is entering into our culture and the way that it is seeking to replace women in positions that they fought generationally for is dangerous. And if we don't speak about it in love and kindness founded on the truth, women will lose because people were too afraid to speak up. Let's take a quick break. We'll get the results of the poll in a minute.
About 100 times. So who you been calling, baby? Nobody could take my place. When you looking at those changes, hope to God you see my face. Young blood, see you want me, see you want me.
Michael's Flooring Outlet has the best products that you are looking for in the flooring industry, the whole array of options available to you. If you're looking for a hardwood look, there's a lot of different ways that you can achieve a hardwood look, and Michael's Flooring Outlet can help you navigate that process. If you are going in and you've got X budget, they're going to help work with you on that. They have great quality products, the best value around, and a customer sales staff that's going to walk you through this whole process and make you rave about them in the future. They're incredibly dedicated to getting it right, and your participation in shopping and giving them the chance to earn your business, I think will serve you very well in the end. They have the Smart Strand Mohawk Silk line, super silky softness, carpeting, superior performance, 3 times more individual fibers than any ordinary nylon carpet. Each strand of Smart Strand Silk carpet is packed with 700 silk-like stain-resistant fibers. This is going to be quality carpet that is going to be able to stand all of the tests, that you're going to live on it so that you can get on with life and not have to worry about the carpeting, the floor. Just enjoy the way it looks and the way it feels. If you're looking for carpeting, if you're looking for hardwood, any type of flooring in your future, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Tuesday, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 314-530-7777.
Fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9
If you're trying to sell your home, there's only one group of agents in town I trust. Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Check out thegelmanteam.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service offers insulation services. Did you know 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated? Increase your energy savings and comfort with better insulation. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Former Missouri Senator Jim Talent is with us.
Biden's policy is not too bad where China is concerned, but there's no energy. We just don't see a sense of urgency in the Biden administration.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. Sleeping in my bed. So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong. I don't know where I went wrong. But I can write a song. I belong.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Appreciate that you are with us this afternoon. I want to get straight to it. The YouTube live chat poll today, is America in crisis, yes or no? I hadn't said yet what I believe. I think that America absolutely is in crisis. I think it's a cultural crisis. I've said this before. Culture, then politics. Politics reflects what's going on in the culture. We just had a good discussion about that in the last, I guess, almost hour about Dylan Mulvaney. And I think that, not specific to that issue, on a whole host of issues, I look at this country and I go, we need to get our act together fast, because I feel like if we don't, we're it's like exponentially we're losing it. Hannah, what do you think?
1,000% agree with you. I think we're definitely in a culture crisis, a financial crisis, all around just a crisis. I want to
add real quick here Amanda's comment about, there's questions about who are transgender women replacing. And Amanda comments, in the workplace, they literally gave Woman of the Year to a trans man. It wasn't like the Woman of the Year on Time magazine or something like that.
Yes.
And the general
Caitlyn Jenner was one.
Yeah. I mean, it's just over and over and over again. Like, women are no longer winning these awards because, yes. Anyway, crisis. Are we? Yay.
Bang my head on a table. Okay. Is America in a crisis? Yes or no? With 220 votes, 90% of the people said yes, America is in a crisis. 10% of the people said no.
Wow. I thought that would be I thought some people would be like,
push back a little bit.
We're not in a crisis yet. We've been here before. Things will get better. I listened to people talk about how, I think, was it Ronald Reagan primaried, Gerald Ford lost, and then Gerald Ford lost the election. I mean, some of the parallels here are pretty dramatic to what has happened previously in history. And when I hear that, I'm like, oh, so we've been here before. And then later on in those conversations, they're like, oh, no, this is way worse than it was. And I'm like, well, crap, this isn't encouraging at all. If America is in crisis, if we're identifying the fact that as a country we are in a crisis mode, the good news here is if you can identify it, then you can do something about it. If you are in crisis and you don't realize it, it's very hard to address it and to redirect. So I guess 90% of you are saying yay, then time to get to work. Only 574 days until the next election. It's going to be over just like that. Stick around. The Mark Reardon Show coming up next.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you hate standing on concrete floors because of foot, knee, or low back pain?
I couldn't stand on hard surfaces. The pain would get so severe that I couldn't stand it.
Tired of living in pain?
I wanted to take off my shoes as soon as I got home every day.
You need comfort in your life.
Now I have no foot pain and I can wear